My name is Sama Russel, and you're listening to episode 61 of The Place of Sound. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode. And for those of you who have been following along through the past few episodes of the show, welcome back. For those of you who happen to be listening for the first time, The Place of Sound is a show that explores the theme of space or the social geography using sound and listening. We do so through a variety of audio media formats, so you can expect to do a few different types of listening in a single show. Episodes consist of what we refer to as audio portraits, or oral history-style interviews, that explore the topic of home. Soundscape compositions, which use everyday sounds to communicate the personal and social significance of a given place. And we typically end the episode with a short documentary-style piece that explores the place-based identity of the producer. The aim with these particular projects is to allow the producer to think about the places that made them who they are today. Today's episode marks a special one, as we are showcasing a new batch of projects produced in Professor Vincent Andrusani's most recent digital media workshop class. This is a course in the Communication and Media Studies program here at Carleton University. These projects, crafted by the communication students, offer a captivating glimpse into the diverse tapestry of human experiences through the power of audio storytelling. In this episode, we'll be listening to an audio portrait, a soundscape composition, and an audio documentary. 3 projects in total. As you listen, I encourage you to open your ears and listen attentively to the sounds that await. Allow yourself to be transported to new worlds, to walk in the shoes of another, and to immerse yourself fully in the experience that Carleton students have meticulously crafted. All right, on to the projects. First up, we'll be listening to an audio portrait by Hannah Sheehan titled Senses of Home, Memories Across Borders. In her piece, Hannah speaks with Carolina Lopez, who reflects on the significance of smells, tastes, and other senses that evoke memories. Carolina shares her experiences of living in different countries and discusses which place feels most like home to her. Hannah, take it away.
Hey everyone, I'm Hannah Sheehan, and I'm a Communication and Media Studies student at Carleton University. In this audio portrait, you'll hear from Carolina Lopez as she shares her memories across borders, all tied together by the power of senses. You'll hear her explain how a simple scent or taste, for example perfume or banana cookies, transports her miles away and years back, reconnecting her with what home truly means. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy.
To me, home means just the memories that are associated with the different parts of your life growing up, the different senses that bring back memories from different points of my life. My mom used to have a perfume when we were in Ecuador, and this was the first time that we were gone from my native country, which is Peru. And this was, I believe it was the Giorgio Armani perfume. It's called Acqua di Gioia, and it's a perfume that to this day brings me back to that specific time when we used to live in Ecuador and those memories that are associated with that. And that doesn't happen just with that perfume in particular, but also, for example, there's this specific flower that's called moringa, and my parents used to have a tree of it in Peru, of the flower in our backyard, and that also brings up a lot of like my childhood memories. So specifically for me, because I grew up in different countries, I wouldn't necessarily, right now my home is Canada because I've been here for so long, but during certain moments of my life, I've had different places that I called home. So it is really associated to me with my childhood and with the different stages of my life. For example, the story that I gave with the perfume, I was 6 years old, whereas the story that I gave with the flowers, I was 3 years old, 4 years old, and I still remember. So that's kind of like those memories that come up with those senses. And not just that, but also food. My mom at the beginning of our years here had her own kind of like business. She would make cakes and desserts and different things like that. So those were the same like cakes and desserts that I would have growing up back in South America and the different countries that I lived there. So that was something that like would connect me back to those roots and think, oh, this is home because I still have these elements that I had there and it's still my memories. So like going back to the senses, like there were these like banana cookies that we used to make when I was like growing up, when I was like 4 or 5, that I still remember to this day. And I still remember the smell. And that smell, because that smell felt comfortable and it felt at ease and warm, it kind of allowed me to like kind of put down the nerves and like kind of like open up and feel at ease in my new home in Canada.
Thank you, Hannah, and thank you, Carolina, for that insightful exploration. Now, on to the next project of the episode, which is Aidan Donnelly's soundscape composition titled Inside an Anxious Mind. In this piece, Aidan takes us through a day in her life, highlighting the importance of routine for managing anxiety. She showcases the most prominent sounds that accompany her daily experiences. Aidan, over to you.
Hi there, listeners. My name is Aidan Donnelly, and I'm in my 4th year of the Honors Communications and Media Studies program at Carleton University. In this soundscape composition, you will hear about my personal journey of anxiety, the sounds, spaces, and places that define my experience and illustrate the beautifully complex world of anxiety. My goal for this composition was to immerse listeners in the world of a restless mind, creating an illusion of unease through the power of sound. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoy it. I try to follow a strict routine. I wake up, I take my medication, I sip on the coffee that my doctor warns me about, and I go for a run. When I get home, I shower and start my day. I appreciate routine, a plan, organization. It's all part of the territory. I am acutely aware of the sounds that surround me. The way notifications send a shiver to the pit of my stomach, and how the sound of fidgeting hands sends me into enough discomfort that I can almost muster the courage to ask them to stop. But the truth is, silence. Silence is the loudest of it all. My ultimate enemy.
Thank you, Aidan, for sharing your perspective with us. Before we continue on to the last project of the episode, here's a quick public service announcement from the Carleton Communications Society.
Hey everyone!
My name is Laura Kowalski, and I'm the current president for Carleton Communications Society.
And my name is Ethan Ormonde, and I'm the vice president of the Carleton Communications Society. We wanted to take a few seconds to tell you about the Carleton Communications Society for those of you who might not be familiar. The Carleton Communications Society is a group of dedicated students who work endlessly to make the communication and media studies community the best it can be. We organize networking events for communication and media studies students to meet professors, alumni, and peers. We host casual mixers for you to make friends and participate in games and activities, and overall, we attempt to foster a sense of belonging amongst students so you can connect with one another in the communication and media studies program.
Together, we work hard to create a positive and inclusive environment for every student. Whether it's planning exciting school events, providing networking opportunities, or helping you to figure out where a degree in communication and media studies can take you, Carleton Communication Society is here for you. By joining Carleton Communication Society as a general member, you gain access to our monthly newsletters, early access to our activities, discounts at events, as well as the ability to add Carleton Communication Society general membership to your co-curricular record as a CCR credit.
To join the Carleton Communication Society as a general member so you don't miss out on any of the fun activities and events we have going on this year, you can visit our Instagram at CUComSociety. Click the link in our bio to sign up to be a general member to make sure you stay up to date with all things communication and media studies.
Thanks!
And make sure to join CCS.
Now onto the final project of the episode. We'll be listening to an audio documentary by Kaela Rossi titled Learning to Embrace Change. In her piece, Kaela discusses her move to Ottawa and the challenges of adapting to change. She reflects on the trials and tribulations of being a first-year student and navigating newfound independence. Kaela, take it away.
Hi, my name is Kaela Rossi, and I'm a fourth-year student in the Communication and Media Studies program at Carleton. What you're about to listen to is an audio documentary that I've created about my journey to learning how to embrace change. I've never been a fan of change, and I've always tried my best to avoid it, but since moving to Ottawa for university, I've experienced nothing but that. But I finally found a way to be okay with that, and this story kind of walks you through my process of learning how to accept change. I really hope you enjoy the listen. I moved to Ottawa in September 2019. I was 17 years old, excited to begin my university adventure, moving away from home and excitement for the independence I was going to develop living on my own in residence. It was almost like a fresh start entirely. New place, new people, new me essentially. I had the opportunity to develop my own identity away from my family and my childhood friends, and I was excited about the idea of that, initially. I moved away, my parents said goodbye, and all of a sudden, I was left with just myself. It was a weird feeling. I didn't know anybody here, my friends I had known since childhood, my twin sister who had been there through every aspect of my life, my childhood home that I had lived in since I was a kid. It was all gone. And the next thing you know, I was facing my biggest fear. Everything had changed. I tried to ignore my fear of change, of being on my own in a new place with new people. That was just university life. It would just take some time to get used to. So I tried to accept it. I made new friends with my roommates. I tried to talk to people in my classes. I was just trying to make this new place feel like home. I was still in touch with my parents and siblings every other day. Texting, FaceTiming. I was updating them about everything in my life. Everything new that was happening, how school was going, the people I was meeting, everything. I was living away from home, but still trying my best to make it feel like nothing had changed. I tried that for a while, trying to get that familiar feeling back, the feeling of safety and understanding and comfortability that I got from the people at home, and the comfort of the house and town I had grown up in. I tried my best to replicate that feeling everywhere I went in Ottawa. I felt like I couldn't fully enjoy this independence I had gotten from moving away for university because I was still trying to hold on to the person I was before I had gotten here. I knew that moving away was going to change certain aspects of my life, like where I lived and who I was hanging out with, but I didn't realize that the independence I was seeking was gonna affect more than just what I ate for dinner each night. I was realizing that moving away gave me an opportunity to find my identity apart from the familiarity of life back home. Just something as small as having to tell my friends I had a twin sister, rather than just being known as the girl who had a twin, was a huge change for me. I had never had to do that before. And slowly I was noticing more and more things about my life that were just different. And I didn't like that. Whenever I would notice these things, I would feel sad. I was scared of changing, of losing the person I was. I didn't want to change. I didn't want to be that cliche girl that went home at Christmas where everyone was telling her how much she changed. I just wanted to be the same person they knew before I left. I experienced life away from home from September until March. I went home for reading week and Christmas, so I was kind of back and forth in that time anyways. I was sent home from residence and university on March 14th, 2020 because of COVID, and I stayed at my parents' house until the next semester started. Obviously, it was a scary time with all the uncertainty about what would happen, but I also found some joy because I was back at home. All my fears of changing were put to rest as I knew I could find the old version of myself again while I was at home. Not much had changed about me other than having some new friends and a few new interests, but I felt comfort in knowing that at least nothing else would change. I stayed at home during the entire summer of 2020. I was back home, I was with my family, I was in my childhood house. I was happy. But I think this was also the first time that I noticed a bigger change in myself. I was missing my independence that I had experienced in the months prior, and I was looking forward to going back to Ottawa in September. Throughout my second year in Ottawa, I was still trying to get back that feeling of being at home. I liked my independence, but I missed the feeling I had, the person I was back home, and I was still trying to replicate that. More things were changing, and the more I noticed these changes, the harder I would try to bring myself back to the version I knew from back home. At this point, I had accepted that my surroundings were going to change. I think COVID really forced me to be okay with that. I didn't and would never have control over that part of my life, but what I could control was myself. I could talk to my family every day, I could watch the same shows that I did with my family, I could build the same routine that I had at home. As long as I could control these parts of my life, then I wouldn't have to worry about losing that familiar person inside of me. But life happened, and no matter how hard I tried not to change, it just happened. I was living in a new apartment, I was meeting new friends, I was discovering new things about myself that I liked, that I didn't want to push away or ignore. It took me until my third year in Ottawa to realize that I was a different person than I was back home. I think I kind of always knew that and could kind of see myself changing a little bit, so I was grasping onto these ideas of trying to bring back all those feelings of familiarity that I had back home, the person I knew I was back home. But at this point, there was no denying that I was a different person. And this wasn't a bad thing. I was happy with that person. I could still find pieces of my old self in this new identity I felt, but things were different. I had some amazing friends. I felt so comfortable with these people, which was weird because I didn't even know them that long. I was used to only really feeling comfortable with people that I'd known for like 10 years. I didn't think I'd experienced that with people I'd known for less than a year at that point. They helped me realize things about myself and made me feel comfortable. Not that I didn't have the support or the love back home to realize this, but it just wasn't the same. The person I was back home would have never realized that I was gay. She just wasn't exposed to gay people, and I didn't talk about it with my friends or my family. Nobody I knew was gay, so I was never going to realize it. But being in Ottawa, I met new people who had different experiences. Most of the people I was friends with were gay. I was never going to realize that about myself until I met these people and felt comfortable with them. This new kind of identity that I had developed from being away from home, without the pressure of my family or friends knowing this certain version of the person that they grew up with the freedom to be whoever I wanted to be, as cheesy as that sounds. I would never have realized this or accepted this change if I hadn't moved away from home. For a while, I felt like a whole different person than the old me. I felt guilty that I was free in Ottawa but wasn't expressing or talking about a big part of me when I was at home. It's not that I didn't want to or don't want to. It's just that it would change things. It really felt like it was an acknowledgement that I was a new person, that I had changed. And that was scary. At this current point in my life, I've pretty much found peace in the person I am, in the idea that I've changed. I've come out to my friends back home. I've told them about parts of my life that I was afraid to tell them for the fear of change it might produce and the way they might see me. But I'm happy that I found a way to accept that change. I still feel a divide in the person I am in Ottawa and the person I was back home, but acknowledging that I've changed almost feels like I'm bridging the gap between these two identities. I would be lying if I said I've completely accepted this change. I still haven't told my parents or any of my family, other than my twin sister, that I'm gay. I'm still scared of that change. Not because I think they wouldn't accept me, that's not the issue. I'm just scared to admit to my family, to the people who have seen me grow up and who have known a certain version of me my entire life, that I'm different, that I've changed. I haven't been able to face that fear yet. But I'm proud of my progress so far. I never thought I'd be able to accept so much change in my life, but I have. And I'm not done yet, and I probably never will be, because unfortunately, change is inevitable. But I'm learning to embrace all that change.
Thank you, Hannah, Aidan, and Kaela for sharing your projects with us. And thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Place of Sound. Each project on our show is a testament to the creativity and storytelling of the students in the communications program here at Carleton University. We hope that the stories and sounds you've experienced today have left a lasting impression, sparking curiosity, empathy, and perhaps even a newfound appreciation for the power of audio storytelling. Again, thank you to the fourth-year comm students who poured their passion, dedication, and creativity into these projects. Your voices have illuminated the human experience in all its complexity, reminding us of the different paths that we walk. If you're interested in checking out more, have a look at theplaceofsound.ca, where you're not only able to hear more audio media, but in some cases, to see some of the original photos and the writing that students produce to go along with it. There's also a featured work section on the site's blog where you can access some notable individual projects, and in the classes section, you can have a look at some of the work produced in each of the previous semesters. And lastly, under the Listen link, you're able to access the show's archives and listen back to any episode of the show you'd like to hear. But in the meantime, keep your ear out for upcoming episodes of the show, which air on CKCU Radio every other Monday at 6:30 p.m. and are available wherever you get your podcasts. Until we meet again on our next auditory adventure, keep listening to the world around you, and may the symphony of stories continue to resonate within you. Goodbye for now, and take care.